Ready?
I'm ready. Well, I was doubting you'd be able to do a short, and I was right. That's double. So I'll do the first
Not to cut it
part.
from drums to cymbals.
Yeah. So that was a recording of our failed 1 minute short, which I'll admit was my fault. You actually nailed it right on 1 minute about the drums, but then I asked you a question about cymbals, and you kept going. And so now we can add to our resume a failed episode. We were going to kind of bring this thing full circle, and you came in for a landing, hit your wheels, and took off again. So it ended up being, it would have been over 40 minutes long. So we're making this the second half. And in the last one, I asked some questions, and you're answering those. In this one, basically, last one you talked about, how you got the envelope and the name here, and then you got into some stuff about how God's been teaching you patience and all that, which is great. But in this one, I think you're going to share a little bit more, kind of some surprises that came along the way that were unexpected. And yeah, so you learned patience, but then you also saw God's grace kind of blow you away. So this will be fun to listen to, and that's what this one's about.
Drum stuff. Yeah, thanks, Josh. I appreciate that, man. It has been a real lesson for me in patience and in trusting the timing of things. I think it's, dare I say, kind of countercultural. We're so used to controlling everything and just doing everything however and whenever we want to do it. And it's very different. It's it's sort of tough sometimes waiting on God. But it's also, I find it much more freeing and much more satisfying, much more I don't know, it feels like you're in tune more when you kind of get past that initial little I don't know what you call it. It's difficult, I guess, at times going, man, I wish I could do this right now. And yet in the end, that's so far over, or what I want to say, that becomes so much smaller in the long-term look of going, wow, look at how this happened. And look what I learned from it. Look how I'm different in this process. And so when you talked about, I was waiting on the cymbals. I had the drums, the drum stuff, envelope was empty and I had cymbals to get, and they're just super expensive, the ones that I like. And I was talking to a good friend of mine, Sam is his name, and we worked together when I lived in a different part of the country. And we often would ask each other, what's going on in your life? How are things going? What, can I pray for you about something? Is there anything you want to just share and get off your chest or whatever? And just, we encourage each other a lot. And we don't talk a whole lot, but when we do, it's really beautiful. And so I just told him, I said, here's the story. This is how far this drum thing has come. And I would love to have cymbals, but I'm just, it's going to take a while or whatever I said. I can't remember, and I was just joking. And I said, Sam, I've always had this dream that I could just have a pile of money in my pocket and just go walk into a music store and just kind of close my eyes and hit all these different cymbals and not worry about the brand name, not worry about the price tag, anything. Just hit them and just totally pick them by sound. Well, Sam got super excited. And he says, you got to do this. You got to do this. Oh my goodness. This is God. He says, this is God. You've got to do this. I just feel like this is something on this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he says, I got some money. I want to give you some money and I want you to go do exactly what you just said. And don't worry about the price. And you just do it just like you said to do it. And I'm like, are you serious? I was driving down the road and talking to him. I had to pull over, man. I had tears coming out of my eyes. And I said, are you kidding me, Sam? He goes, no, do this. This is God. And I want to, you you won't understand how much this is blessing me to be able to help you to achieve this dream that you've had. I've had people do that in my life, and I want to do it for you. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. And so I was just crying. And it was beautiful. And it took a while. My schedule's pretty crazy, and I don't live in a big city, so there's no music stores to do this. And so Sam just said, take as long as you want to. He said, I can send you a check or whatever. I said, no. I said, so we kind of worked out how it would all happen. And I started this process, and I just kind of had a feeling that it was going to be surprising. And, the first opportunity I had, there was a cymbal that was for sale locally. It was really nice. And I called the guy up and I said, hey, can I come and take a look at this? And I hit it, and I took drumsticks, and I took some yarn mallets that I like to use on drums. And, I just played this thing, and it was really good quality good quality cymbal, but it just didn't have the sound I was looking for. So it was hard. I wanted to make that the one, because the guy was really nice, and it was a good price, and it was a super high quality cymbal, but it wasn't the sound I was looking for. So I had to be honest. And that was a tough lesson because I felt so awkward. I'm spending somebody else's money is what it felt like. And yet I had to be honest with myself. And so I think that one being first was a real help to me because, there was another one that was for sale. It was over in the big city, right? and so it was on the way to these big music shops. And I thought, I'm going to go by there. And I really felt like the Lord kind of maybe spoke to me, maybe nudged me with that one. What it is it's an old Zildjian, earth ride, they call it. Earth as in like the earth. It's really big, really heavy. And it has it was a unique sound. I never had one, but I knew about them I think Zildjian made them at first in the late 80s. I'm not sure if they still make them. They might. But pretty unique. And so I went over there and on the way to the drum shops, and I met this guy, and he was an old drummer, and it was just cool. We had a great time talking and pulled it out, and I just hit the thing, and I go, man, yeah, I really like that. So I got that one, and he was telling me a story about how he had gigged with that in my little town, and so it's funny. It's like, wow, this thing may have been to my little small town before, like 20 years or so before, and now it's back. So yeah, that was the first purchase, was that old Zildjian Earth Ride. And then it was like, oh boy, I don't know. So there was two big drum shops. And so I went to both of them, went to the first one, and I just did. At first it was hard. It was hard to not look at the brands, but I had to kind of just put myself there to not do it and just hit them and just listen. And there were some surprises in that, to where there were some that I thought I would like, because what I had heard online, and when I got them in person, I hit them, I didn't like them, and I thought, wow, that's interesting, and really helpful people, really great folks, and so I heard some, and I thought, I don't want to pull the trigger yet. I want to go to the other drum shop, and so the other drum shop wasn't too far away. They had what I thought was a used cymbal. They were in like this cage thing. So the guy came and he unlocked the cage for me, and he brought me stands and stuff like that. And so I just went through and I started hitting stuff that was on the wall. And then I started taking stuff out of this cage and hitting that. And I had heard some stuff on the wall that I kind of liked. And then I started pulling some stuff out, and it was loud in there. There was some young guys, drumming away on the electronic kits next to me. And so it was a little bit tough. I had to concentrate, but I was making these piles of possibles, and stuff that I just didn't like it at all. I just put it back in that cage, and I kept note of the stuff on the wall that I liked. And, I just kind of kept coming back and just working my way through. And yeah, it was definitely surprising. And if you watch the video of this whole thing, you can go into more detail of what actually I ended up picking. But yeah, it was surprising, and it was so cool. And there was, I don't know why I assumed that the ones in that cage were used. And so I thought I was kind of maybe saving a little bit of bucks there. And Sam just kept hammering on me the whole time. He says, you just do not worry about price. You just stick with what you want to do and stick with the sound and don't worry. I've got this. And that was hard, man. I have a hard time receiving. And this was just such an out of the blue thing. And so it was really an emotional day for me. And, what ended up happening is I bought that ride cymbal separate. I bought 3 cymbals at this drum shop because I really liked the way they sounded together, but I was totally shocked at what I had picked as far as the brands and the sub, the subspecies, if you will. And, the hi-hats I didn't have yet, but I picked some that I liked, but I just, for whatever reason, I just couldn't pull the trigger. Well, a couple days later, I found those exact same hi-hats from another drummer used. They were hardly used. They still had the stickers on them, still had the bags that came in, but ended up having a great conversation with that guy too. So within a couple of days, I had everything. And, just Sam and I had this great interaction with that. And it was just unbelievable how it came together. I'm still blown away when I look at him and just, set him up that time. And it was really just, yeah.
Yeah, well, that was fun when you told me about that with Sam, and but then I was thinking like, man, that's gonna be tough, like to not rush it, to not, yeah, maybe want to think maybe more money, more quality, and this and that, but yeah, it was really cool to watch it happen too, because it was like, as soon as if I remember right, you bought that vintage one first, and I was like, oh yeah, this is going good. And then your time at the music stores, and it's just really cool how it came together and being able to see that. Because I was thinking, man, this could be like a month long process. You could feel anxious and try and get it all done at one store. But yeah, it worked out awesome. It was cool to watch. And yeah, all right. Well, we'll move on to the next section here, and we'll just end with that. I did want to say it cracked me up when you said Earth Ride as in Earth. I was really glad you clarified that, because at first I was thinking like Earth is in what? Like Earth or Earth, like something else. But then when you said Earth is in Earth, I was like, oh, okay, I got you. But anyways, yeah, looking for this next section, and we'll just end with that, and that'll be episode 5, drum stuff.
So along those same lines about it being more than I could have imagined, there were times along the way, and like what you were saying, Josh, about being patient and the lessons there, and how those are powerful lessons, man. And I am different than I used to be. And there was a time when I actually kind of wrote out a list, at least a mental list of all the symbols that I used to have, and thoughts about getting those same ones back, and how I had played them for a long, long time, probably 20 to 25 years. And I knew those. Um, I felt like the Lord said, no, you're not the same drummer, man. You're not the same person. You're not going to play the same way. And so that was pretty exciting, And I'm going, wow. Well, this is really interesting. So I have that in the back of my mind as I'm going through all this process of picking out symbols, and I have no idea what I'm going to be playing. Um, Back the last time I bought cymbals, the 20, well, I don't know, it must have been 1990, I guess, so a long time ago, 35 years. It's the last time I bought a set of cymbals like this. I kind of knew what I was playing and what I was going to be playing, and now not so much. I don't have a band. I don't have um, anything, but that just made it so much more exciting. And so I kind of I'm taking that whole thing through. Like this is kind of, I guess it all plays in. I picked out sticks, and I said, I don't want the same sticks that I used to play. I want to play something a little different. And as I've been playing on the practice pad and stuff like that, I've noticed that I kind of prefer a different style of stick than I used to. This is crazy, man. It's just kind of wild, but really, really cool. And so, I've set things up differently and a little bit differently with the cymbals, but with the whole idea of adding this extra tom, I'm excited. Like when we first did that video and I said, okay, I want to just play these drums and not practice and just see what's still there. You know, I hadn't played in about 3 years, but I was thinking about that. And actually, it'd probably been about 8 years since I played. In between that 8 years, I played a drum set once, 3 years before the video. But before that, it had been about 5 years. So I played a drum set once in 8 years. And that was really cool to do that. And I'm glad that we captured that. But that's part of why I want to add this tom. And I want to just not be stuck on how the setup should be, but to be open to changing some things around, moving some things to where it might inspire some different things to come out. You know, already just having a couple of months on a practice pad has made me think a little differently. I'm learning new stuff, and so I'm going to apply those to this drum set and hopefully come up with some different things and inspire some different rhythms and sounds and patterns, things like that. So it's really exciting. I do feel like this process. You know, I had a good friend that he really teared up when I told him this thing, and he said, you know, the way you have done this is really what's so awesome about it. You know, trusting God and learning patience, as hard as that can be at times, it is so worth it. If you're struggling with patience out there, I can tell you it is tough on that side, but on the other side, it's worth every effort that I put into it. And I'm not even playing yet. I'm not really, you know, we set these up and recorded stuff, and that was the last time I played them, and that's been several months. It's just practice pad. So, yeah, this process is crazy. Now tonight I had some good friends. This is a brand new, hot off the presses story here. Josh, you haven't even heard this yet, but I have some good friends that I do some work for. I shared this whole thing with them about getting back into drums. They ended up ordering me these custom drumsticks. They've got my name on them. They've got crosses all around. They're the coolest set of drumsticks I've ever had. And so I just picked them up tonight. They said, hey, come over. We got something we want to show you. I had no clue. They pulled these out. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I'm not going to mention their names, but hopefully they'll listen to this episode and they'll know that they've had a part to play in this. And so I'm going to take them home and I'm going to, you know, hit the practice pad with them. But they just felt so nice. Put them in my hands. They're a different style than I've had before. Um, yeah, I'm just like this whole process is so wild and so different people are coming into this process with me. And what a blessing, you know, Sam way out on the East Coast and Josh, I mean, you're in the middle of this with me, of course. And, you know, these friends of mine and family members, and it's just so awesome. And I just can't help but wonder what's ahead. And yet looking at it with a new set of eyes and a new set of ears and going, what is this going to be like? This is like, you know, drums 2.0 or whatever the techie people kind of say. But for me, it's deeper. It's wider. It's like, we're going to go to some places that you've never been before. It's like a garden, you know, if you plant some seeds and some things take a while to germinate and some things will lay there dormant for a long time until the right conditions happen, and then they come to be at the right time. And so that kind of stuff is really cool. When you talk about waiting on the Lord, there's a bunch of scriptures that talk about that kind of thing, and those always get me excited because I'm kind of living this thing out with playing drums and you know, years of frustration. It was all worth it, you know. And like I said, I'm not even done. I'm not even playing. So, these new symbols are going to be new voices. And so I'm going to have conversations with them and I'm going to learn their language and they're going to learn my language. That probably sounds a little wacky, but that's kind of how it works for me with symbols. It's like, it takes time to learn what is a symbol. You can hit it a whole bunch of different places and get these different sounds. And And then you go, well, wow, what about this with that? And what about that with this? And how do these go together? And it's like, oh man. So yeah, I feel like I'm learning a new language, and yet I know like 3 words of this new language. And so time, man, I need time now. And so that's what, when you ask Josh about some of the plans that, we've talked about maybe building a little building out in the yard or something, or bringing in some little building of some sort that's already manufactured. And so I'm not sure. We're kicking around some ideas. Um, it's pretty cool. People wanting to jump in and be involved, you, Josh, obviously being one of them, which is cool. Maybe being able to come up with some different materials and stuff that might work, that might clean out a shed in his yard and might create a drum space in mine, and just the connections, man, the connections and the fellowship and the community. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And what is it all about? I don't even know yet. Making some music, hopefully at some point with some people. Um, but for sure, just having this great time, man. Just having this incredible experience. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that I'm resonating with some people that are out there that are having these. They may be in different areas of this whole similar path that they're walking. And it doesn't have to be drums. I mean, it's just like being patient is such a countercultural thing, but it really speaks volumes of trusting God, and I love, there's a scripture in the book of James that talks about, let patience have her perfect work, that you would be fully formed, that you would be complete. And that's a wild one to think about. When you think about being formed as a kid, as a parent, one of your prayers is that your child would be fully formed, and that they would have all of the fingers and toes that you're supposed to have. And obviously if they don't, you're going to love them. You're going to work with whatever the Lord puts in front of you, of course, but that's always your kind of foundational prayer, is that, we would have everything the Lord designed us to have. And so when we're impatient, we're actually kind of declaring that I don't really want to be fully formed. And that's a bizarre thought, but that's what's rattled in my experiences thus far. So yeah, man, hopefully that's encouraging.